Peace Queen. It's Melissa Crawford of thequeencode.com. And my message today is about how the truth can set you free. You know, the truth is a very interesting thing because it's not something that is loud, or, the truth doesn't come dressed up in a big, bright, shiny, sexy package with a big red bow. The truth is really more in the essence. The truth can be a very quiet thing. The truth is really an inner knowing. And so many times we fail to recognize it because we're looking for something else external. We're looking for the big red flashing lights. So many times as we're striving for success or abundance or fulfillment or peace or relationships or the love that we desire, we kind of forget that the truth of all of that, the truth in how to realize those things is so simple. It's so simple that sometimes it can be overlooked. In this season right now, we're all being called to the next level. And maybe you can feel it right now. Maybe you feel like you're going through that rebirth process. And again, you're not alone. We're all going through it. We're all being called to elevate. So, a few weeks ago, I'm going through my own process, and I'm still going through the process. But there was a particular point a few weeks ago when I began to realize that there was something going on with me. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And in my prayer and meditation, I kept having these feelings come up, but I kind of pushed them to the side. And eventually I couldn't ignore it anymore. And I asked my angels about it. And long story short, my angels said to me that there are certain people in your life that were placed in your life to be a blessing to you. And you were placed in their life to be a blessing to them. But you're not loving them. And I knew who the people were, but I was like, what do you mean I'm not loving them? I'm nice to them, I'm kind. And really, when I thought about it, I was really just being diplomatic. And the angels were saying, but you're not loving them. And I was thinking, right, the way I interpreted that was that, oh, okay, I need to love them more. And so that's what I tried to do. There's certain people in my life that I was told that I wasn't really loving them. I began to show up more, talk more, maybe be more present when they were talking to me. And I really made an effort to try to love them more. And so after a few weeks of doing that, I was in prayer and meditation again, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right, because even though I'm trying to love them more and I'm making some effort to love them more, it just feels like I'm swimming upstream. Something doesn't feel right. And that's when I heard in spirit, that's because you don't try to love someone. As a matter of fact, what I realized was try and love shouldn't even be in the same sentence. So as I began to go deeper with that, I thought to myself, well, why do I not love them? Because there was a part of me, I got to be honest with you, I didn't want to love them. It's very easy to love someone when they're being lovable. And it's true that there are some people in our lives that we should love from a distance. Okay? But at the same time, these were not necessarily people that I should love from a distance. But, I was just being honest with my angels. I don't want to love them. I was resisting loving them. And really it was because I was being judgmental. There were some parts of them that I thought was weak, or maybe I thought it was lower than who I felt myself to be. Either way, I was judging them. And so I felt I don't want to love them. I don't want to have to open my heart to these people. And the angel said to me, well, the love that you're denying them is the love that you're denying yourself. And I came to the realization that I wasn't being asked to love them. I was being asked to love me. So in other words, the way that I judged them, I was also judging myself that same way. So that's the reason why, as I began to go in and clean and clear and really let go so much stuff, I bumped into these feelings that I couldn't explain, because I've been on a path of self-love. I've been on a path to self-love for over 10 years. And so I was feeling, well, that can't be it. I love myself. But remember, right now in this season, we're all being called to the next level. And so I was told, it's not the way you're judging them is exactly how you're judging you. And so as I got off my high horse and got ego out of the way enough to realize that it's the absolute truth. The things I was judging about them, even though the lifestyle could have been different and everything could have been different on the outside, the root to how I judged them was how I judged myself. So the love that I was unwilling to give to them was love that I was unwilling to give to myself. And it blew my mind away. And as I began to open and allow this truth to really take root, and as I surrendered to it, I felt free. I felt freer than I had ever been. And as I began to really love myself more and more in all of those ways that I had been judging other people, all of a sudden, those same people that I judged and that I didn't want to love, as I began to uncover the love within myself, it was so easy to love them. See, I was never supposed to try to love them. I was supposed to find the part within me that was like something that I judged in them and love that part of me. Because when I do that, when you do that, when we do that, we begin to become the love on the inside, and it's effortless to love people on the outside. I'll give you an example. There's this family member, and she is on drugs really bad. And she's been on drugs for a while. And I was really very upset with her, because I'm like, you have so much potential, and you are allowing this drug. It's like you're self-sabotaging yourself. This is what I wouldn't tell her this because I didn't know how to, but this is what I was thinking in my head. You have so much potential, and you're self-sabotaging yourself. And it was something that everybody in the family felt, because we knew she could do, anything she wanted to. But I went a little further with it, to the point of just some extreme judgment. And I would look at her in disgust. And I thought that she was being so weak. How can you be so weak to let something like that overcome you? And I never verbalized this to her, but it was always a dialogue, or not even a dialogue, right? Because she wasn't there. It was a monologue in my head. God, you're so weak. How could you do this? Just all of this, judgment. And I knew I was supposed to love her. It didn't mean that I had to be around her all the time, but just to have an open heart and not be so resistant. But as I tried, I couldn't really feel the love. And when the angels told me, well, that's because the way you're judging her, you're judging yourself that same way, I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, but I'm not on drugs. I'm better than that, is what I was thinking. Let's just be real. But then the angels asked me to go a little deeper. And I started thinking about how many times I would have this ritual, especially if I was home on the weekend. I would do really, really well during the week. I'm a healthy eater. I exercise a lot. I take good care of my body. But then if I was home on the weekend, I would go and, go to a convenience store and just get a bunch of sugar, candy, all types of stuff. And I would eat sugar until my stomach was bloated. And it was something that before I ate it, I really, really wanted it. I was high. But then the minute I would just stuff myself with this sugar, I would feel really bad about myself. I would feel like I disappointed myself. I couldn't understand why I kept self-sabotaging in this way. And as I kept going deeper and deeper, the truth was, the sugar and all of this stuff, even though it's not wrong to have a sweet every now and again, the way I was using it was like a drug. It was a way for me to numb out some things that I didn't want to feel. And this particular family member, it's interesting because that's exactly what she would do. She's a person that you wouldn't think was on drugs. She's very functional. She holds down a job. She does all of these things on the weekends. She succumbs. And here I am judging her going, oh, you're so weak, you're this, you're that. But I was also judging myself because when I got to that place of having that bloated belly full of sugar, I was saying those same things to me. And so as I began to go in and love myself more, and as I begin to go in and really face my own music and say that it's okay, that it's okay to be afraid sometimes. You don't have to run from that. It's okay to feel what you need to feel instead of numbing yourself. As I begin to do that, I begin to break that addiction, because even though it was a mild addiction, it was an addiction. And what's the difference between her addiction and my addiction other than mine is more socially acceptable, right? And to even go a bit further, when you think about the chemical composition of processed white sugar, the chemical composition is really not that different from cocaine. So here I am being so harsh on her, judging her, when we had the same issue at the root level. And so as I begin to go in and love me and break that addiction, all of a sudden, when I began to go around her, there was no judgment. I could love her with an open heart. I didn't have to try. So Queen, what am I talking about here? I'm talking about self-love being the key to everything. Sometimes the truth is so simple that it's overlooked. As I'm going deeper and deeper in loving myself, I realize it's the key to everything. Let me tell you, if all of us decided today to focus more on self-love, I predict that in 3 years, half of, if not all, of the Western doctors will be out of business. I predict that in 5 years that world wars would eventually cease. I'm talking about self-love being the path to world peace. This is huge. And we're all being called to do that, but what are some resistances to that? Well, especially for women, because we have to be so much to so many other people, we think that it's selfish to love ourselves. But you can't give what you haven't received. And so in loving ourselves, we become better mothers, better wives, better sisters, better daughters, better family members. In loving ourselves, we begin to effectively build the things that we're supposed to build here in our time on this planet. Self-love is the key to everything. And it's really not, some people may say, well, oh, what about loving God? Well, that includes self-love. Because when you go within, you make contact with the God in you. You love all of that. So self-love, Queen, is the key to everything, is what I'm saying. There are some things that you're dealing with and battling with on the outside where it's just a reflection of something that you need to go in and love and release and heal on the inside. Everything on the outside is just a projection of what's going on inside of you. Anything that irritates you is a projection of something that you're judging for yourself. This is big, so maybe you want to hit replay on this video because I really want you to get this. Everything that you've been desiring, the path is self-love. Sometimes, we can work so hard, but the reason why you're not getting or manifesting what you desire because somewhere deep down you think you don't deserve it. So how can you go out here and work for things thinking that you're going to acquire them where somewhere deep down inside you're feeling undeserving? You have to go in and love that part of you first. Okay? So self-love, it's time to make that commitment to self-love. That is the great work. It's not a selfish thing. Okay? It's actually a part of what you're supposed to do, because everything else becomes so effortless after that. So I'm asking you to make a commitment to loving yourself. And what does that look like? I'm talking about not just a commitment, a daily commitment, waking up every day and saying, how can I love myself today? And again, what does that look like? It can be simple. It doesn't have to take a whole lot of money or a whole lot of time. It can be something as simple as finally making that appointment to the OBGYN that you've been putting off. Maybe polishing your toenails, for God's sakes. Taking the long route home, the one that takes you by all the beautiful trees and you can see how the leaves are turning colors, and you love that about fall time. You know, maybe going and getting a massage, or maybe going to a spa and having a bikini wax, you know, or maybe you do a full Brazilian. I don't know. But how can you love you today? Because when you love you, you can now give from a well that doesn't run dry. Okay? Loving you breaks all confusion, and it makes you highly attractive for all the good that you've been desiring. That is my message for you today. In the meantime, I do have a wonderful gift for you. If you go to my website at www.thequeencode.com, you can download a free copy of the audio, Reign as Queen in 2013. And even though this year is almost over, these principles in this audio can be applied to 2014 and beyond, okay? So it talks more about the things that you can do to begin to align yourself with the queen that you're called to be. So all you simply have to do to get that audio is go to www.thequeencode.com, and I'll talk to you soon.